This week in wrestling headlines, the longest-running dual meet and individual winning streaks went down the drain. So what'd you miss? Let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name's Josiah, and welcome to the Fanco Wrestling YouTube channel, where we like to discuss everything going on in the world of wrestling. And this week, in this segment of wrestling headlines, we have so much to discuss that happened over the weekend in college wrestling, including Virginia Tech pulling the upset over NC State in literally the last couple seconds of the last match. We're also going to be talking about the first number one of the season that actually lost over the weekend, talking about some conference champions that were crowned, and discussing some things that happened in the Big Ten. But the first item on the list today that we have to talk about is that the Olympic trials were actually moved out of State College. So this is coming to us from USA Wrestling. They said Penn State Intercollegiate Athletics and the U.S. Olympic Committee have collectively decided that the 2020 U.S. Olympic Team trials, originally scheduled for April 4th and 5th of 2020, will not be held at the BJC in University Park. So this is very unfortunate that we're not going to be seeing the Olympic trials at Penn State this year, but they will actually be held in 2024 in State College. They were originally supposed to be, State College was just going to be popping from March to April with the Big Ten championships and the Olympic trials. I was pumped to go back to State College for the Olympic trials, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen this year. USA Wrestling is currently in negotiations to secure a new location for the competition, and they're still looking at the early April time frame. So just a couple weeks after the NCAA tournament is when we're looking to actually have the Olympic trials, and I was looking forward to going back, but we'll see where the trials are actually going to be held. I know that the USA Wrestling and everybody involved with the trials are going to be meeting soon to discuss what exactly is going on there. And it had to be the biggest. It was the biggest duel of the weekend. Virginia Tech and NC State. Holy mackerel! Did you see that duel? Did you watch that duel? If not, I just highly recommend that you go back and watch it, because number 8 Virginia Tech upset number 3 NC State 17-16, coming down to the last couple of seconds of the last match at 125 pounds. So the duel actually started out at 133 pounds when Myers was able to get a nice win over Tremblay and get things rolling for Virginia Tech. Now this duel, it actually went back and forth quite literally from 33 all the way up to 197 pounds, and from 97 and 285, which is actually where NC State was able to pull off 2 wins in a row, which was the only 2 wins in a row for either team. So first of all, just some notes off the start is Andonian's just looking lethal this season. After watching him in this duel, he's just looking lethal. Hayden Hidley, nothing crazy. He picked up a win over Brady, won a 9-4 decision, hoping for something more, but didn't end up coming down to it. And in this duel, every single point mattered. I'm sure everybody's kicking themselves at some point, on the team that lost, on NC State's team. They're going to be kicking themselves in some way, saying this could have happened, that could have happened, but you can't blame yourself. Mackay had a nice win over Bullard at 165, and this is actually a weight that I thought could potentially be an upset, but Mackay is just a little bit too dominant for Bullard. But 165 is just a crazy weight in the ACC, especially. Hunter Boland had a win over Hidley. There was a little controversial locked hands call, which I'll be honest, I think there was a little bit of controversy at the end of this match too, which I'll get to in a second. 2-1, he won that match. Borst. So at this point, we're heading into the duel. It's going to come down to the last couple of bouts. NC State picks up a win at heavyweight, but what happened is in the first period, Borst actually fell. He went down hard. He was holding his elbows, screaming out, and he was in some sort of pain. Something happened to him. He ended up getting up, wrestling the rest of the match. If he wouldn't have wrestled, he would have given up 16 points because of that injury, and that would have ended up giving NC State the duel. So props to Borst for getting up, toughing it out, and actually wrestling for the rest of this. For the rest of the match. Even though he lost, he still was helping his team out. He did his part. And then 125 pounds. This is what it came down to. Number 10, Sam Latona of Virginia Tech, wrestling number 2, Camacho of NC State. And this duel was insane. It was just insane. So it was 4-2 heading into the third period with these guys. And just before we get to the third period, I do have to say that Camacho was actually hit with his second stalling. So he was hit with a stall call. And going into the third period, I mean, the last couple of seconds, the ref hit him with a stalling, which I didn't think was, I'll be honest, I didn't think it was a stalling, but he hit him with it, which meant that Camacho, if they went back on their feet, was going to have to be a little bit less cautious and going to have to be on the attack. Now, Latona escaped with a minute left. He was started on bottom, escaped with a minute left, made it 4-3. There was no riding time either guy. With less than 15 seconds on the clock, Camacho was backing up a little bit. These two are battling it out. Camacho was backing up a little bit, but again, trying to avoid getting another stall call. And then Latona is the one who ends up shooting in, picking up the single leg. Camacho pulls like a little dive roll through. Latona catches him on his back, gets control for a takedown. And so that would have given him the win in the match. He would have won the match 5-4. But in the last couple seconds, winding down, the ref counted 1-2 back points. Time expired. And this is where things get wild because the duel now is tied. It's tied 16-16. So it comes down to criteria with all of the duel meets, which criteria comes first to victories, number of victories, then it comes to number of falls, and then the third criteria is total match points scored. And the total match points scored were 49 Virginia Tech to 48 NC State. The last two back points of the match ended up giving Virginia Tech the victory. This has to be one of the most historic, crazy wins in all of NCAA wrestling. Such an exciting duel. I'll be honest, it was super awesome for Virginia Tech to win this. Even though I was rooting for NC State, but I was just watching for some exciting wrestling. Props off to Latona. I don't necessarily know the ending of the match that two back points. I think the ref counted a bit fast. If I'm being honest with you. Just from my perspective of the timing of the clock and how the ref counted, it seemed to go quick, but maybe I'm just being a bit nitpicky, just something that I saw, but not to take anything away from Latona or Virginia Tech. It was just an incredible victory for the Hokies, and really, I'll be honest, I'll be the first to admit, I underestimated the Hokies from the beginning of the season. I didn't think they could beat UNC. I didn't think that they were going to beat NC State, and guess what? They pulled it off. Unbelievable. And speaking of unbelievable, the first number one of the season went down this weekend when Noah Adams actually lost. He lost to Stephen Buchanan of Wyoming. The number 14 seed, Buchanan, beat Noah Adams, the number one seed, at 197 pounds in the dual meet. Now, Wyoming actually ended up winning the dual meet. It didn't even come down to this match, really. It was 21-12 in favor of Wyoming. WVU did pick up a nice win over Fresno State, but between this match and these two guys, listen, I talked about a little bit of controversy and things going on in other matches. There was no controversy here. Buchanan beat Adams outright. He beat him. It wasn't he caught him in a cradle, he caught him on his back. No. Buchanan beat Noah Adams. Number 14 upset the number one seed. And it's kind of crazy because Buchanan did end up losing later on in the day, which is kind of crazy. So 197 is still an exciting weight. But what happened here is that the undefeated Buchanan at the time, he actually had one loss by injury default, but did end up losing, getting pinned, like I said, later in the day to Northfleet. Adams had a 39-match win streak, which was the longest in the country, only behind Yanni Diakomahalis, who's not wrestling right now. Buchanan was in on the first takedown, was up 2-1 at the end of the first with Adams' escape. And the second, this was kind of a crazy call, is that, and I guess this was the only real, I wouldn't even call it controversy, but Buchanan was able to attack Adams, get him onto his back whenever Adams shot in on a shot. Buchanan kind of rolled through and tossed Adams to his back. And I thought that maybe he would have had some back points there, but no, there was nothing. It was just a reversal call. So it was 3-3. Adams ended up getting a takedown later once they got back to their feet, and Buchanan escaped. It was 5-4 heading into the third period whenever Adams started on bottom. So he escaped, and then Buchanan scored off of Adams' shot and then was able to escape again. So it was 6-6 heading into the last minute of this match with Buchanan's takedown. And he just said it was 6-6 because Buchanan ended up letting up Adams. So he let him up and ended up getting a takedown with 15 seconds left. Was able to score at the end, won by a score of 8-7. A great a great victory for Buchanan and just proves that he's going to be a real threat for the title at 197 pounds because, like I said, there was no controversy here. Like, he beat him outright. Now, 2 conference champions were actually crowned over the weekend. 2 dual meet conference champions, regular season, and Campbell. The first of them is Campbell, defeating Chattanooga in an incredible comeback victory. I mean, this was one of my favorite duels of the season. Like, Campbell just is so exciting to watch this year. Of course, you know that I work at Campbell University, but I was able to attend this duel, and it was so much fun to watch. Campbell went undefeated in the SoCon this year with 16 straight SoCon dual meet championships, or wins, 16 straight dual meet wins, not championships, and ended up, their only loss of the season was to Virginia Tech, who we now know is one of the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the country. So this duel, they won 17-15. They were down 15-13, similar to their match against App State whenever they were down 17-13, ended up coming back and defeating App State with their upper weights, and a very similar thing happened here, 15-13. Now, Chattanooga, they came out strong. They were able to pull off an upset over a top 25 Ben Barton at 157 pounds. And then Murders Road just came in with Austin Murphy, who just had a great couple wins this season, undefeated right now, pulling off a big fall. Caleb Hopkins upsetting a top 25 Waddell. And then wins at 97 in heavyweight, put Campbell over the top. Now, one interesting thing that happened in this match and has been kind of a topic of discussion this weekend is the controversial taking away team points. One of the things that happened in Campbell's match is that after 197 pounds, when Chris Kober won, he gave the finger guns kind of to the other bench, which the refs kind of saw as taunting and that it shouldn't have been done. And okay, I get it, but this is just, I wanted to bring it up because the team point deductions, which Campbell was deducted a team point for taunting the other team, has been a very big controversial topic this weekend. Mostly because Doug Schwab was also taking away a team point because of dress code misconduct for wearing like a zip down sweatshirt on the bench. Absurd, if you ask me. But what is your take on the team point deductions? Are you for them, against them? Do you think it's just ridiculous? Do you think there should be some certain rules enforced? That's my question about that. But then we talk about Mizzou, who they weren't deducted any team points, but they did go undefeated this season. Mizzou is just, wow, what a great team this year. Undefeated on the season, 10-0, 10 ranked wrestlers. They were declared MAC champs, similar to Campbell winning the regular season SoCon title. The Mizzou won the MAC title over the weekend with a win over SIUE 35-3. They also have wins this season over Central Michigan, Iowa State, and Arizona State. I wish we could see them wrestle some top-tier team. I mean, like, not saying anything like against Arizona State and Iowa State, because, and even Central Michigan this year, like, those are all top 25 teams, and a couple of those are even top 10 teams, but really a great season so far. But I want to see them wrestle like an Okie State. Man, that would be such a great duel. And now, they're not wrestling them in a duel, but next week they will be wrestling in the Cowboy Challenge, where Okie State, Central Oklahoma, and West Virginia will all be wrestling. I'd love to see that happen. I'd love to see a duel with Mizzou and Virginia Tech, or even Iowa, just to see where this team stacks up, because they are undefeated in dual meets. And how do you rank an undefeated team against, maybe they're not going up against all these other undefeated teams, or even potentially tougher teams, the Big Ten or ACC. We don't know. It's tough to decide where they should be. And then we get into the Big Ten. Speaking of Big Ten, Minnesota defeated Illinois in a good duel. And this is important because number 13 Minnesota defeated number 9 Illinois. Illinois has been kind of cruising, and they were 4-0. Unfortunately, they did just have 2 losses with Iowa and now Minnesota. Hopefully they can pick up the last couple of wins in the season. But this is going to secure Minnesota likely as the number 5 in the Big Ten, as just the Big Ten, number 5 team. They only have Wisconsin, Northwestern left, so things could happen there, but I doubt it. Big wins in this match. This duel, you saw Pat McKee of Minnesota over Justin Cardoni at 125 pounds, winning by decision. Pat McKee has been the guy to watch at 125 pounds this season. At 49, Mikey Carr of Illinois pulled off a nice win over Michael Blockus of Minnesota, 5-3. Owen Webster pulled off another upset victory over Zach Bronigal at 184 pounds, 3-2. He beat him, but he has recent wins over Lane Malcheski, number 12 in the country of Michigan State, Max Lyon of Purdue, and John Poznansky of Rutgers. He is win after win after win, or upset after upset over upset. He will have an upcoming test against the top 10 Chris Weiler. That should be a very interesting duel, to say the least, because Owen Webster has been kind of on a tear. And speaking of guys on a tear, Gable Steveson picked up another fall over the weekend over Luke Luffman, who has been in his own right, has had a solid season. Steveson ended up pinning him in the first period. I mean, just a quick pin, making his record 7-0. You see him running off the mat there, doing some crazy stuff. And I don't know. Do you like Gable's antics? I'm not a huge fan of all the antics, and this is, kind of where some team points are deducted, some aren't, depending on, everything going on with situation. I don't know. I don't really like the antics unless it's honestly in the moment a big match. I don't know. I think that there is a time and a place, and then, maybe some people call me hypocritical because I enjoyed some of the more call celebrations. I don't know. I think maybe that's a topic for another time. But Steveson is 7-0, 100% bonus point percentage, is on par now. Him and Spencer Lee are just kind of going back and forth this whole season. It's exciting to watch Gable Steveson. I enjoy watching him wrestle just because of his absolute dominance. And then in the Big Ten also, Iowa defeated Purdue. They defeated Purdue 31-8. They also beat Ohio State 33-14. Now, unfortunately, a couple guys were not on the bench. Were on the mat. One guy on the bench of note, Tom Brands, unfortunately, was out due to COVID. There was no Alex Marinelli or Caleb Young, which makes me question if they're going to be wrestling in the upcoming weekend against Penn State or not. But anyways, one interesting thing to note here at 184 is that there was a triangle within this tri-meet. There's a triangle with Nelson Brands with the win over Rocky Jordan, 3-0. Max Lyon defeated Nelson Brands 6-1, and then Lyon lost to Brands 7-2. So it's been like Lyon lost to Jordan. So it was kind of a triangle here between these guys, with Lyon defeating Brands. So very interesting triangle between all these guys. Now, between the Ohio State and the Iowa duel, because Iowa actually wrestled a lot of their backups in both these duels due to whatever reason, due to COVID, due to wanting to get other guys some match time. We did see Sammy Sasso, and this is Brand's matchup here, but Sammy Sasso pinned Max Murin in the third period. It was a good match before that. Sasso was still winning, but Murin ended up getting in on a single, and Sasso just locked it up like he did against Mikey Carr, like he did against so many other guys in his career. Ironman pinned Echemendia and ended up injuring Echemendia. I hope he's okay. I hope everything's back to normal for him, but he did end up getting the pin there. And then the regulars, the regulars for Iowa just looked good. Spencer Lee, Austin DeSanto, Cassiope, these guys look good this weekend. And I'm interested to see how they're going to do heading into the Penn State duel over the weekend. Now, please let me know what you thought in these wrestling headlines. There's so much to discuss this week. A crazy weekend for Virginia Tech. A crazy weekend for Wyoming upsetting, number one, Noah Adams of WVU. What was your favorite match of the weekend out of all the duels? What was your favorite match? Please leave a comment below and make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest in wrestling headlines.